Greetings, everyone, the City Council, staff, and all the citizens of Port St. Lucie join you today with heavy hearts but steely resolve. And as everyone here knows, this morning we awoke to the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history, perpetrated just 90 minutes away in Orlando by someone who lived in our community. As we process and respond to this great tragedy, I would ask that we send our deepest condolences, thoughts, and prayers to the families whose lives have been forever changed by an act of great hate and violence. We join them in mourning their lost loved ones and sending wishes for a speedy recovery to the survivors. To the city of Orlando and Orange County, we stand with you in solidarity and are here as your brothers and sisters to respond to this emergency, to help you pick up what pieces we can, to take the actions we should, and to grieve what we must. To our community, many have expressed great concern over whether the shooter resides in Fort Pierce or Port St. Lucie, and I say that it doesn't matter, because this terrible act could have happened and been hatched anywhere in our nation. It is not an Orlando, Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce, or Florida event. As a nation, we must be ever vigilant and know that this type of heinous act, whether it be driven by hate of those different in religion or orientation, can happen anywhere. At the same time, we cannot allow our vigilance and willingness to act on reasonable suspicion to ever cross the line into the territory of blind fear and discrimination. For those with hate in their hearts, such a turn would be an even greater win than pulling the trigger on innocence. We face a moment which requires our careful thought, consideration, and action. As we have throughout our nation's history, when times are at their worst, we must be at our best. Port St. Lucie is the safest large city in Florida, and our dedicated police officers are assisting the FBI in its investigation of the shooter. If the roots of the shooter's hate extend into our community, we will not rest until they are completely ripped out and justice is served on behalf of the lost, the survivors, their families, our community, and our way of life. Official updates on the investigation will be provided by the FBI. The city is going to provide additional statements as warranted. Understanding that this is an FBI investigation, we're happy to take any questions that you might have.
Why did you feel the need to come and prepare a statement and give a statement today in the aftermath of the shooting?
I think that we're connected to this. Unfortunately, we're connected that the shooter may have resided in our St. Lucie community. And so I think the whole nation shares in this tragedy. But certainly I think that brings us even closer. We're actively involved in the investigation. I think it's already been reported that things have been taken out of a residence in the city of Port St. Lucie. So I think this should be of great interest and the greatest interest to all citizens of the United States. I think that that's a special reason for the citizens of Port St. Lucie to be concerned. And certainly we've been flooded with calls and questions today.
And those calls and questions, do you know anything about the individuals that lived at that home at 937 Bayshore Boulevard?
I have no personal knowledge. I've never met him at the grocery store, and I would expect that in the days ahead we're going to get a portrait of exactly who he was, and it's very difficult to get there in less than 24 hours, as you know.
What was taken out of the home today?
I can't speak to that. I bet the chief can't either, but I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are at a very high level of cooperation with the FBI, and as the very front part of that cooperation is I've been asked by the FBI to direct all questions about the investigation through them. You know, there are reports. I'm not saying nothing was taken out of the house, but I'm just saying they want to control what's said about the investigation, and it's better. You know, I would be very upset if another law enforcement agency took the lead and made comments on my investigation.
In that house at 937?
To my knowledge, it's a family member.
Okay, which one?
I don't know.
To your knowledge, have you ever responded to anything involving any kind of disturbance, anything that you can say involving the?
Yeah, I have not gone back and ran the history on that. Like I said, we're not actively involved in the investigation, you know, other than when they ask specifically for us to do something. To my knowledge, they haven't asked any of our investigators to run a history on that residence. Therefore, I don't have that, you know, I don't recall us ever having a problem with those addresses. But again, you know, I don't know what they've asked the investigators that are assisting to do.
Is there anybody from the FBI going to be able to tell us what was removed from the residence?
You'll have to contact their
Okay.
public information officer. Yeah.
And I would encourage you to reach out to your associates that are in the Orlando area.
Mhm.
As that press conference is continuously updated, the FBI agent on the scene is there providing as much information as
Okay.
possible.
All right.
Mayor, can we get your personal reaction when you found out, and what was your reaction to this individual possibly living here in your community?
Shock, just no different than probably your reaction or anyone in the community. How could this happen? Why did it happen? You know, all the questions that we ask ourselves in the face of great tragedy. And then, as in any tragedy or crisis, you're trying to get good information. So originally it was reported that 20 were dead, and then it ends up being 50 are dead. And the person definitely lives in Port St. Lucie. No, the person lives in Fort Pierce. But then going through the process of, does that even matter? Does an invisible line between two cities, when it comes to something of this magnitude, matter? Does it matter that it's on the east coast of Florida versus the west coast of Florida? I think what I hope people take away from this is that this can happen anywhere, USA, and that we have to be vigilant. And at the same time, we have to find that right balance, because you do not want to see vigilance and the willingness to act cross a line to where it turns into blind fear and discrimination. So I think that's a moment that we may all feel across the country right now. And I hope, and it's my belief, that we will find that right balance and do what is necessary while continuing what makes our country great by bringing all people together and practicing love.
Moving forward, can you just talk about the next step with this, and if you plan on releasing more information as the investigation moves forward?
We have quite a history of being transparent, especially on the police department side. So I have all the faith in the world that the police chief through the city manager will make everything available as it becomes available. And even though the chief can't tell you, that previous question about who lives where, I looked at the property appraiser at 9:15 this morning, and that's how I did my investigation. And so far it's been accurate with what then has been verified by the proper authorities. So absolutely, we will continue to provide information. And as with any crisis, first you have to get good information, you have to get a lay of the land, and then you proceed as quickly as you can while maintaining quality with learning everything that you can, and of course being there for all the people who lost their loved ones and those survivors. And that's got to be first.
For out-of-town media, can you say and spell your name and the chief as well?
Sure, ORA, V as in Victor, EC. And then here's a card, make it pretty easy for you.
John Bolduc, B-O-L-D-U-C.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's next? What happens now?
Well, I think that we continue to rely on our police chief to tighten the coordination and make sure we're doing everything that we can with the FBI. I've reached out to Mayor Dyer, and I'm sure it's pouring in from the country, so that's an overwhelming phenomenon, but we're there. That's all he has to do is say the word. And because being safe is part of who we are as a community, I mean, it's at the core of our identity. We're the safest large city in Florida, and that's the 12th year out of 14 years now. We're going to do everything that we can and be good partners. And as we go from the moments of a disaster to action, we'll share our steps with you. But they can't tell you they caught the bad guys till after they caught them. If there are in fact more than one, if this is more than a lone wolf situation. Anything else? Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.